particularly with my own singing as well, I always say to people, I've got to sing once a week. It's not a choice.
My plight is quite familiar to those who tread the boards at the Niederland or Schubert or Rialto, though I've got a great high C. The decision seems to be...
Hello, welcome. My name is Julia Binek, and today I'm not in Salzburg, I'm in London. And you know, London is very famous for musical, and I have Natalie Durkin now here. Thank you very much for being here. And she's teaching the children's for the musical performances. How Karajan did also. He teaches the young generations, and I'm very blessed to have you here and enjoy it. It will be interesting. So, you studied in London.
Yeah.
But you studied classic, actually.
I actually studied classical music originally. So I trained in classical voice from the age of 12 to 18 in Durham, County Durham, which is in the northeast of England.
Okay.
And then I got a place at university in Kent to do classical voice. And then in the meantime, I had a rather large car accident and needed to take a year out to recover.
Okay.
And during that year, I really realised that my heart wasn't in opera and classical voice, but really it was where it had always been, which was musical theatre. So then I trained in performing arts in voice and musical theatre at university, and then I moved into London and did even more training in musical theatre after that.
And what did you get to the musical? Like because of the accident, or just hearing music, or it's...
Oh goodness, it's been in me since I was so young. My mum always jokes that I sang before I talked.
Okay.
From very, very young, I would make up my own songs. But particular influence, I suppose, I don't think it was a thing but in England, we had a TV channel called TNT, which was Cartoon Network during the day.
Okay.
And then it got to 7 o'clock and it was TNT, and it would show all of the old musicals. So Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire, Doris Day. And I fell in love with Doris Day. I just absolutely adored her.
So you wanted to become a Doris Day?
I wanted to be Doris Day. I like, you know, most kids' first albums was something like Steps or Spice Girls, and my first album was Doris Day. Yeah. And then I was really lucky. My parents were fantastic, and they supported me the whole time. So from the age of 4, I was dancing in dance classes 3 times a week. And then from the age of 8, I was doing about 4 musicals a year with companies in the nearby areas. So I think I've done around about 60 musicals.
But was your daily process just practicing, dancing and singing, or how did you connect it with the school when you were young?
Yeah, no, it was just daily practice afterwards. So during school, I was doing my normal maths. I'm actually very good at maths. I've got a maths A level, because at one point I thought I should be sensible and get a grown-up job. So I was going to be a maths teacher.
Oh, actually, you wanted to be?
I was on track to go to Oxford to be a maths teacher.
It's very similar.
Yeah, so the same thing. Well, really interestingly, you say it's similar, but Leonardo da Vinci actually was very, very clear that he thought that a mathematician's mind and a scientific mind can be developed through art, and how actually art is more clearly linked to sciences than we've ever thought.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
So, and then you studied, and now you're teaching the children's here for the musical on stage.
Yeah.
So how's that? So it's getting you a little bit of luck when you're doing it, or are you a bit nervous also for the children when they're going on stage?
I love it. I think with children, because they have so much passion and energy, and also they're not so full of, I know it sounds really negative, but they're not so full of the daily grind, I would say, of life.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot that goes on as adults that children haven't really experienced. Paying bills, paying bills.
Yeah.
Kids don't have to worry about that yet. So they have a lot less filters. So they're much more willing to grow, which is really exciting, because you can tell a child one thing and they'll immediately take it on and listen, and you can really see them grow. Whereas I think with adults, it's a lot harder to kind of get through all of their filters to then teach them things. It's a lot. I mean, I know personally when I go to class, it's a lot harder to strip back than it is if you're like an 8-year-old child. But one of them just made her debut this week in Mary Poppins.
Oh, sweet.
She's made her West End debut, so 11, which is really cute.
But you learn also for yourself something when you're teaching?
Oh, always.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I would say mainly the fearlessness, particularly of the younger lot, because I teach from 8 to 18, and it's really interesting to see the older they get, they're more fearful they become of performing in front of the class. But yeah, particularly the young ones, just their energy and the ability to process stuff really quickly, and their honesty as well. Children are really honest, sometimes horribly.
Yeah. And from the technique, when you said you learned singing before, and then when you're trying to teach them how to sing well, is it a process for you as well?
As a singer, I think you probably know this yourself. Now a lot of your technique is natural to you, because you've practiced and you practiced and you practiced and you practiced. Your body naturally does what it's supposed to.
Practicing,
yeah, because you've practiced. So then how to kind of really take that back and go, oh, well, what if I hadn't practiced and it happened, it happens naturally?
Yeah.
How do we go, oh, well, you just do this. So actually breaking down that technique and looking at the larynx and really knowing how it works and how it tilts and how language can affect it as well. Because I think it's really important that, particularly with young children, you can sometimes get a bit over technical, and it can really confuse them.
Okay.
So with children, it's really hard to kind of be technical and specific whilst also being clear.
Yeah.
Because you can say all of these things about larynxes and tilting and support and belt and lift, but actually to be really simple and be like, I need you to open your mouth to here to make the noise come out. Sometimes it's just the easier way to say it.
Yeah.
And it's about leaving them with the support for future life, so they're not developing bad habits. Because I see a lot with my 18-year-olds that they've been copycat singing because they want to sound like Beyonce. And they're doing damage to their own vocal cords.
Sure, yeah. They don't be themselves.
Yeah. And also not being themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm really passionate as well about connecting to story and truth, and really not just singing to sound pretty, because I think you can find a lot of vocalists shut off their actual abilities to connect to the song, and maybe overthink technique. My thing is, if you do the skills and you exercise and practice it enough anyway, your technique is there for you. It's going to work for you. Your job then is to connect to the emotions and what you're saying so that you can tell the story. Obviously, that has to be supported by technique. But I think there's a really...
But special musical is very connected to words and lyrics.
Yeah, 100%.
So it has to be really clear.
Yeah, and you look at someone like Sondheim, if you don't know what you're talking about when you're singing Sondheim and you're just focusing on the notes, nobody's going to know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it's really complex.
But how you teaches them, the children, when you're playing a play and try to do it really easily to teaches them, or how you do it?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
I'm quite a fun teacher. Well, I'm quite a fun teacher, but also, particularly with children, you do find a lot of cliqueiness, shall we say? Particularly in the, like, anywhere over 14.
Okay.
There's definite some, no, I wouldn't say bullying, because it's not extreme enough as bullying, but there are giggles and stuff. And because I was never the popular child. It's one thing that really grinds on me. So, like, I'm a fun teacher. We play a lot of physical games. Because, again, I think that's another problem with some singers, is they're just not connected to their physicality. So they can sing from their neck up, but then you ask them to move their body. Yeah. And they're just like, what? I have to, my legs are important for singing? Yeah, the whole body should be involved in the process. Yeah, of course. So we do a lot of physical work. But yeah, I think I am quite a fun teacher. You go and ask the kids and they'll be like, no, it's just horrible. But but I did get some lovely cards this year saying that, and I was their favourite teacher. So.
But when they have a performance in the theatre, are you there with them?
It depends on the performance. If it's to do with school, yeah, I'm there. If it's kind of one of the professional engagements, no. But I do always get invited to watch.
Okay, nice. But when you're there with them, are you nervous, or how you play with them when they are nervous before they go on stage?
We do a lot of work on nerves in our classes, and it's really hard. I mean, it's really hard. I'm sure you know, as a performer, I get nervous for them massively.
Really?
But actually, I remember the first time I was teaching. It was actually a dance class. And they were doing this big presentation in front of all of the schools in the area. And I was terrified, so terrified I threw up beforehand. But I remember the feeling afterwards, which was possibly the most proud I've ever been in my entire life. Okay. Because these group of 5-year-olds performed the most wonderful dance. And I've never felt that proud. But with regards to, like, the kids getting nervous, yeah, we do a lot of work in class on concentration, putting your attention somewhere else, really focusing on what you're saying as opposed to what's going on inside yourself. And also just repeating, I'm really talented, I've got this. Yeah. Because particularly, again, with my older lot really struggle with fear. And I think that's a societal thing. I really don't think, you ask any of my 6-year-olds to get up and stand up and sing and they'll immediately get up. Ask any of my 16-year-olds and they'll be like, oh, I don't want to. So yeah, we spend a lot of time just, like, quickly breaking through the fear. So I'll be like, right, you're next, and you're going to do Mary Had a Little Lamb. And just really simple vocals so that they break through the fear of performing in front of people. But yeah, for me, it's all about repeating it, I suppose. Practice, practice, practice. You can never... When I first came to London, I hadn't performed in front of people for a while. So I made it a big thing that I now go to an open mic night once a week. So that I'm constantly performing in front of people and I'm constantly breaking that fear barrier. Because the more you do it, the less the barrier is there. It's like taking a brick off a wall. The more you take every time you take a brick, the wall gets smaller.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's how it feels like, and that's what I encourage my children to do, and that's why, yeah, we do the same in class. I'm like, right, your turn, up we go. Mary Had a Little Lamb. No. Because as long as it's something they don't have to think about, it's quite simple to get them to do that.
Yeah, that's true. And during the rehearsals before the premiere, when there's an orchestra and the conductor, you also connect with the conductor or talking with him or with her. Is there also a connection with you?
Yes, depending on the show.
Yeah. How is this this connection?
Yeah, it's fun. It's hard to kind of, I think there's a juxtaposition of my passion being like, oh, the children and the singing, and the conductor being like, yes, but the orchestra and the music and everything should be specific. And I'm like, well, yes, but the story.
Okay.
And kind of being able to go, actually, in this bit, I think we really do need to pull this a little bit. Musical theatre is a lot more flexible, I know, than
opera
or a classical score that somebody's playing.
But still, there's some...
Yeah. Well, you'll actually find, I mean, it's really interesting in musical theatre, the composers are a lot more flexible.
Okay.
Sondheim famously said, I'd rather you write to me and change the key than not perform my work. So I think Mrs. Lovett has been rewritten into 9 different keys for all of the performers who wanted to sing it. And which is, I think, nice about the flexibility of musical theatre, that you can write to the composer and go, actually, I really want to do this slower in this section, and it is able to pull.
So the composer is more in the focus than the conductor.
Yes.
Is it right? That's funny.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then the MD, I suppose, or conductor would be like deal with the composer.
Sure. And when you're done your work, the daily work, and going home, you feel of listening to music, or you want to have a free ear?
Oh, I always go
silence.
No, all the time. Music.
All the time.
I mean, you say this, like, so it's one thing I have learned from my children is that pop music apparently does still exist. I have no idea what pop music is nowadays.
Okay.
I'm very much musical theatre, so I would say I don't massively listen to it in my headphones, I suppose, but I do go and see shows at least once a week. So I wouldn't kind of spend a whole day teaching and then not go and see a show because I needed quiet. I'd probably spend a whole day teaching and then be like, I'll go watch a musical now.
Oh, okay. So no silence, no, I need time now.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't listen to pop music. I listen to musical theatre, and that's kind of pretty much it.
If it feels good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But you get a feeling of luck doing this work and working with music, especially with music.
Oh, 100%.
So no life without music.
Oh, I couldn't possibly, particularly with my own singing as well. I always say to people, I've got to sing once a week. It's not a choice.
My plight is quite familiar to those who tread the boards at the Niederland or Schubert or Rialto, though I've got a great high C. The decision seems to be...
I have to do it for my mental health, because music, it sounds funny, like it sounds really weird, but it activates me. It puts me in like an equilibrium. It speaks to my soul, and to be able to see that moment in a child where they get it is just phenomenal. It's like my teaching methods are a bit odd, but one of my judgment levels is I get goose pimples.
All right.
That is, I think, kind of the epitome of what good music is to me. Because that's my body having a reaction without me telling it to.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So like I can actively know that I like this song. And be like, oh yeah, I like this song, it's amazing. But for my body to react without my control. Do you know what goose pimples are?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just I know it's a funny word. So to kind of have that goose pimple reaction, I think is the epitome of like good music and an expression. So I say that to my kids. I'm like, look, the goose pimples are up.
That was good.
Yeah. That's when you know that you've hit something a little bit deeper and reached a point in the vocals that like is not only beautiful vocally, but is an expression of truth.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I live for.
That's very nice. Thank you for being here, and thank you for a nice talk.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.